Go web. It says start streaming and it says go live. I'm pushing all the buttons. Oh my gosh. I'm wearing out refresh. It says start streaming and it says go live. I'm pushing all the buttons. Mute.
Whee! And yes, there's a delay. That's why that whole thing was that entire thing was us. Just a bunch of old guys going, "Hey, kid, pushing your button. I just don't know how it works anymore."
The jolly candy-like button.
What's the chop?
Oh my God. How's everybody going? We got Stacy in the chat. We got Hal in the chat. We got Michael Cross in two places at once. Stacy's in the chat. Suppity. I'm waiting for Bo Shutta. Where's my guy? Dunik's there. Howdy, Dunik. Go gadget live stream. The go web. That's what Brooke was doing. Was go live stream like Spider-Man. All right.
Hey, there's some news today.
Oh yeah, there's an Earth Day celebration coming up, I think, downtown, and we should talk about that. That was in the news today. Yeah.
That was 420. Right.
No. You were 420.
That's different.
Thanks, Connor. We pushed the button. We didn't need to call the Cobalt Union to push the button. Connor, our biggest cheerleader.
Hey, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's the shortest cheerleader. Connor with a K is our shortest cheerleader.
Sarcastic encouragement, right?
It's tough love, Brooke. It's not sarcastic encouragement. No, I like that. We're going to go from tough love to sarcastic encouragement. That's what it is now, plausible deniability. Yeah, you don't like it? Go cry. I don't know.
There's no crying in D&D. Pull yourself together.
Oh, there's crying in D&D.
You obviously weren't listening to our last episodes.
I've cried in D&D, sir. I've cried on this podcast.
I almost cried during the announcement today.
Jeez, man.
Woo! I'm so excited.
Okay.
Crossover.
This is plausible deniability. We got Johnny
Payne here. We got Brooke.
Yes, Brooke. Who's on delay? My brain.
Brooke, are you playing with the Starship Enterprise?
That's right, because we get to go to space.
We get to go to space. I don't think there's
in space.
I don't think you got the right ships, but I like your enthusiasm. Yes, we're going to space. First thing I want to talk about right there is that art. What is up with Minsk riding a dragon through the stars?
Oh,
that is amazing.
That is phenomenal.
I'm here for it. I mean, it's the greatest crossover ever. It's probably going to be the adventure of how Minsk finds Boo, the giant miniature space hamster.
That would be fantastic. And we actually get giant space hamsters.
Now we got to just miniaturize them and have them go for the eye.
Now we get to finally answer what a giant space hamster is.
Yep.
Now we know what Boo is, a miniature giant space hamster.
Maybe one is just when they're babies and the other is all grown up.
What if on the planet of space hamsters, they're all smaller than normal, and Boo is like the biggest one? So Boo is the giant miniature space hamster? There's such a tangled web with this. I don't know.
It is.
But very excited. Go for it.
This all stems from the announcement that came from Wizard of the Coast today, live on YouTube. If you didn't catch it, there were many, many, many things that were listed that were coming up. And the biggest, of course, something they teased on April Fool's Day to make it seem like an April Fool's joke. Spelljammer confirmed.
Spelljammer confirmed.
Woo! I got to admit, I very rarely, it was someone in the Discord, maybe Dunik, maybe someone in the Discord said, hey, it's in 3 minutes, and I went, oh, and I grabbed and loaded up, and I put in the chat, I'm just here to watch them not announce Spelljammer and eat popcorn. Like, I just figured, hey, whatever, it's going to be something else, and it's not Spelljammer, and then
boom.
Yeah, so excited. So excited.
And not just a Spelljammer adventure, which we expected. We expected there was going to be an adventure coming up in September. That's what they do. They always release in August. In August, they always release their
Gen Con releases.
Because that's the new season for AL.
Yep.
And so that's when they release their adventure. Icewind Dale, Dragon Heist, Wild Beyond the Witchlight. All of these have been released in August. That's the adventure. Oh my gosh. It is so much more than that. You've got your adventure. You've also got your player's guide, which is basically going to be a player's handbook for traveling around in astral space. And you also have your Monstrous Compendium, I'm guessing.
That was a cool 2E throwback.
Yeah, the Astral Adventurer's Guide.
Mm-hmm.
Boo's Astral Menagerie.
Yeah.
And the Light of Xerxes, which is the actual adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing, though. The other thing is, then they say that there's going to be this Monstrous Compendium, Volume 1.
You're right.
Dudes, this is already on D&D Beyond.
Dudes. Oh.
Looking at it. I have actually looked. There's the Asteroid Spider, the Clockwork Horror, Eldritch Lich, Fratine, the Goon Balloon.
Oh.
All of these monsters are already on D&D Beyond if you have a subscription to D&D Beyond.
Okay, so you have it, right? I need a question answered. What is a murder comet?
What is a murder comet?
Yeah, let's wait till Ash is gone though. I don't want them taking notes and giving us one.
It's not on this. It might be.
I noticed in the comment earlier she was like, "It was Nightmare," and I'm like, "Wait, what?"
I saw something earlier about like all new creatures, and it listed like 3 monsters, and one of the monsters was Murder Comet.
So that will probably be in the. That's awesome. That is amazing.
Sorry, photos. Boom.
Because there will be 60 plus new creatures coming up in these books. They're already for pre-order on D&D Beyond. The Spacefaring Adventure runs for characters level 5 through 8.
Is that the little kind of pre-adventure they were talking about?
I don't know.
They made that teaser about, something coming in June, maybe, or May, and I can only imagine.
Oh, okay, no, so it doesn't have the levels for Light of Xerxes.
Okay.
The books will include a spacefaring adventure that this is levels 5 through 8. Now I got confused again. I don't know exactly. 5 through 8's awfully small.
Yeah.
I mean, considering. Yeah, so I don't know how it's going to work out, but...
Yeah, 5 through 8 is small, but I like they're kicking it up to 5 through 8 instead of it being 1 through 4.
Right. So, very, very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That was the kickoff, which was weird because they just led.
They led with, yeah.
They did not bury the lead in any way, shape, or form. They led right with it, and it is phenomenal. So... Very, 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 very exciting. What are you excited about, Brooke? With this,
I am just so one of the things that people would disagree with me on this, but one of the things that sometimes I don't think 5e has done very well is connect to that 1e feeling, right? And you can do it, and you can do it really, really easily. And this is one of the first products that I've seen them tease where it just hit all my first E or 2E buttons, where I was just like, oh my gosh, an anchor falling from the sky.
Yep.
We're right back here when Spelljammer first came out, and I, as you can tell, am just exploding with the possibility of revisiting some 1E adventures that are right back there on the bookshelf. It's just, I'm just super excited about it. That's what I'm most excited about.
Donnie?
You pronounced Dragonlance wrong.
Yes. Now we'll get to
that. I know. I know. No.
Dragonlance.
We'll get to that. I'm excited to see an old world brought back to life. That's just a big excitement for me because, in my opinion, it should be there's the established worlds of D&D, and then every edition just has those worlds. And it seems like that hasn't been really the case so much. Since 4E, we got Eberron, it was a new thing, and we keep getting these little new bits and pieces of locations or worlds here and there. So I'm really pumped about it. As pumped as whenever they announced Ravenloft. It's we're getting some of the classic worlds brought into the current rule setting, and that's very exciting. Plus, also, it's going to be new and different. So experiencing it all over again for the first time, and then watching people who their introduction to D&D was 5e. Just experience Spelljammer and be like, wow, this is a thing. You can go to space, and it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it.
It just opened up that in first/second edition. It just opened up this idea of the multiverse and how do you get to planets, and then it connected for me and my group. It connected us, to C.S. Lewis, and you get the idea of Venus and Mars, that are out there with their own adventure worlds. And I'm just I'm just super excited, as Johnny said, about being able to bring this to a whole new generation.
Yeah.
This is very thrilling. There were other announcements I wanted to get to. We did get a little bit more of a look of Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, which I am really, really excited about this book. I'm really excited to see this being run. The idea of bringing in other cultures to tell their stories from different parts of the world. Boy, what a wonderful idea.
Mm-hmm.
It has so much potential. And you and Ash on A&M a couple of weeks ago talked about, that would be the answer to doing like Oriental Adventures again. Is to do it.
This is the Oriental Adventures for the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you
actually
bet.
Hire people from those cultures and have them tell their stories.
Yeah.
If you guys didn't catch that episode, go check it out. Right here on YouTube with A&M Talk D&D down in the doobly-doo and the saved videos.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I'm currently on an Oriental adventure with Pathfinder. So, and it's,
I'm going to nerd out for all the non-D&D folks. So you guys are going over the Crown of the World soon?
I'm spoilers.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun adventure. We're starting at level 11. It's really fun. And
you and I will have to talk more later. I don't know that I know this one right off the top of my head.
It's for PF2. So, what is the name of it? I cannot remember the name of it. It escapes me, but it's great. It's great fun. Yeah.
Awesome.
Ruby Phoenix. The Ruby Phoenix.
Oh,
the one they brought back.
Yeah.
The one they brought back for So
I own that one too. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I really liked what
Phoenix.
I really like what D&D did with their Eastern campaigns and everything. It was great stuff.
Yeah, Hal asked a question about your third favorite races. What's your third favorite race?
It'd be sporks. I got my mini already. Woo! Sporks. You just pop my around on the table. Space Ortar.
So, speaking of miniatures.
And anyway, I got to throw a shout out back to Hal first, though. Did you guys see in the chat? He answered our murder comment.
What was that?
Well, he said, "Murder comment. Poor Dasher. He never stood a chance."
Right. The murder comet took out the reindeer.
Murder comment to Dasher, Donner, yes.
Yeah.
Blitzen, all gone. Murder comment.
Yeah.
And then there was one reindeer.
Miniatures.
Miniatures.
Yep.
New accessories called campaign cases. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know how much these are going to be. Coming out in July 9th, they are bases that you can peel and stick reusable clings to them so that you're not running around with just big, huge, thick. And I love flat minis. I love this idea. So the idea of having bases and then just a cling on there to have a picture of it. Whoa, what a great idea. And you have the miniatures and then the, what's it called, the terrains. So that you can just pull all these out whenever you want. You've got the case to carry in. I don't know what it's going to cost. It's probably going to be expensive. And will there be accessories to it? For example, there's no way they're going to be able to sell in this box every cling of every monster.
No, of course not.
And multiples of monsters, too, because you don't just go fight one goblin. Even at first level, you're fighting 3 or 4 goblins.
Right.
So you need several clings to go on your small bases.
You bet.
I don't know exactly what it's going to look like, or how much it's going to cost, or if there's going to be accessories as well that you can buy. Because once you buy the bases, you really don't need anything else. I know because I've got a bunch of flat minis as well that I bought from Pathfinder.
Yeah.
The what are those called? The
Pawns.
The pawns.
Yeah.
Bought a whole bunch of those.
So
Great.
I missed it, but did they is Wizards of the Coast making these and putting them out, or is it a partnership with WizKids?
It's a partnership with WizKids.
They won't be. Then they shouldn't be very expensive.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Yeah, WizKids makes very affordable minis. They do have more high end minis now that actually come on sprues, and you're basically in Warhammer time where you're cut them off the sprues and glue them together and painting them and everything. And those do have a higher price, still cheaper than Warhammer. But yeah, it should be a pretty good deal coming from WizKids.
Right, and it's because it's WizKids. I'm just talking about. If you look at these cases, this is a lot. There's a lot that comes in this thing. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying the price. I think is going to be pretty high. Only not because of who's putting it out, but just because of what it is. This is an entire case of tons of bases, tons of clings, all of these things. So, and it's a nice looking carrying case. I mean, I would expect at least $25 to $30.
What did you think about, like, kind of us old grognards, and I wasn't into minis too much then, but, there were a time when we had, like, the tubs, like, the storage tubs of minis.
I don't know if you guys can see all these back here, but...
Yeah, I mean... And
all my miniatures up there. I mean,
and we had the lead-based metal Raw Partha miniatures that were the soft lead, and that's why we all. I'm actually 20 years old. That's why I look this way. It's from the lead-based miniatures.
I inherited my father's lead-based pewter miniatures.
Wow.
When I came back to 5e, he goes, well, then I think these belong to you. That he played when I played D&D with him back in the early '80s when we played the Fantasy Trip, Steve Jackson Games. Mm-hmm. Back in the early '80s, he handed me his miniature, so I have my father's miniatures, and
that's so cool.
That's the
Dragons.
That's the 1980s, right?
Yes, that would be the 1980s.
Like in the 1900s. Yes. 7 years ago.
Yeah. And there have been some companies that have done like the clear plastic, slide it in, yes. And they've been pretty good. And I've thought about buying those a couple of times, but just haven't. And so because they just came in like a, like you have to punch them out, right. Or whatever. But if this comes in a preset case, and I'm telling you,
it's really
marketing.
Nice. And of course, I'm still playing mostly online, so I have no need for them right now. But when we do go back into person, I think it'd be nice to have something like this. So, they'll probably have my money when it comes out.
And speaking of minis, that's going to dovetail into the other big announcement that I was excited about. Take the floor, Johnny, because you were just all over the place. You loved it.
Dragonlance. Dragonlance, yep. So they're taking us back to Krynn in the form of minis. There's an adventure book there too. I don't know if it associates. We were kind of talking on Discord. Someone mentioned, is it an RPG that works with the minis campaign also, or what? But there was once a minis game around the end of 4E, I believe, maybe for D&D, and it was made. It used the same rules as Fantasy Flight's X-Wing game, and it was all about dragons. And so it used the same, cool. Like the measurements and the markers and how to turn, the turns and everything were all the same, like the core rule set of that highly successful Star Wars game that Fantasy Flight Games put out. And then it just kind of, I can't remember what it was called. Was it called Dragonwing? Anyway, totally licensed by D&D. And then it fell apart because X-Wing took off more so than the D&D game did. So I'm interested to see what rule set they use, if it's skirmish type, if it's large armies, if it is, everything involved with it, multiplayer or just 2-player, how it fits into a tabletop session. There are versions of BattleTech miniature games that you can incorporate into your RPG session that work smooth. And I'm just wondering if they're going to try and do something like that. But Dragonlance is coming end of 2022 with those two products. We're also getting the new Dragonlance novel from Weiss and Hickman in August. So it's going to be. I feel like there's going to be more announcements about Dragonlance as we move throughout the year. And it's like Michael said, they should have. It's kind of weird. They led with the giant bomb of Spelljammer confirmed.
Right.
And then they ended with, oh, here's a trailer for this Dragonlance thing and a picture with no art on it. But maybe they started off with a lesser big deal and ended with a bigger big deal. It's just further away. So that's my headcanon. That's how I'm calling it.
What did you think of that trailer?
Yeah, when did you know that it was Dragonlance?
I didn't watch it live, so I saw the trailer in the Dragonlance article.
Okay.
So yeah. To be fair, I was busy working and stuff, but yeah, I did. I
making money.
I don't know where I would have in that thought to myself it was Dragonlance. There was a Kinder in one of the images.
Yes. All right, I can't get it to.
Yeah, your green screen blur thing doesn't work for showing us.
Sorry about that, boys. Anyway, go ahead. The Kinder is when I saw also with you, Johnny. When I saw the Kinder, I was like, oh, and then I started paying close attention.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's it. Just excited. Hey, anybody in chat? Yeah. Germs is already saying he's super excited for what I've heard. Germs says, from what I heard, it will be mass battles, not individual unit skirmish. And they have another game coming out set in Forgotten Realms that is a box skirmish game. So Germs and I will be meeting up at Game HQ and playing this thing. Yeah, for sure. At conventions. Yeah. I mean, there's your invitation, Germs. I know I owe you a couple of games of Magic the Gathering, so we will just put that to the side and play D&D minis instead. It'll be fantastic.
Right. D&D Onslaught is coming out in November, which is put out by WizKids. Mm-hmm. It's a board game that's going to be miniature-based, 21 fully painted miniatures. Mm-hmm. It's going to be amazing.
I don't see why everyone wouldn't be playing these games, because you buy that game and now you have miniatures for several of your RPG sessions. So just crack open that 30-page rule book, learn to play the miniatures game, and I'll meet you at the table. And we're playing. Yeah, we're playing
I would put that in an instant. I think it would be so much
miniatures
fun.
Games are great fun. They're just so expensive. But I don't think this will be. This isn't going to be like Warhammer scale money. It's going to be. I think it's going to be perfect fit for D&D.
With 5e rules, which would be really, really, really nice. I'm really excited about this.
And again, then you just take those minis from Onslaught, or you take those minis from the Dragonlance strategy game, and you're just like, look, Dragonborn, woo, there we go. You just put them on your D&D map, on your table at home.
Michael, awesome. You talked about with 5e rules, and here's a question I wanted to have at the end of all this discussion of the announcements today. How much of this stuff do you think is going to come out with some interesting variant rules that is prepping us for what's to come in the next 12 months? Because it's 2024 is the date they have for the new edition that's not a new edition. It's not D&D 6, it's AD&D 5 or whatever they're calling it. I feel like we're going to slowly start seeing some changes and differences in the rules themselves outside of errata and things being cleaned up and monster stats. I think we're going to start seeing a lot more changes.
I think it's already started.
Yeah,
and it started even with Tasha's and certainly with Ravenloft and the others. They've already started to getting us ready to 5.5. And the one of the big ones is there's the way they're doing spellcasters for their monsters is different. They no longer, and I'm looking right now at the Eldritch Lich, for example. Brand new monster that they're putting out that's in the Monstrous Compendium for the Spelljammer. And instead of, you have 3 spell slots of second level and you can cast these spells. They've just thrown all of those out and simply said, spell casting. You can cast at will, detect magic, mage hand, prestidigitation. 2 days each, 2 per day, dispel magic, hunger of Hadar, lightning bolt. 1 day each, arcane eye, dimension door, plane shift. So they're taking away the you've got 3 slots and you can do one of these spells because it makes it a lot easier for the DM. That was one of the things they talked about, making sure that they were going to change. I think there's going to be a few other things. I think I think 5 plus. I think 5e plus will simply be they're going to take all of this and try to combine it down as succinct as possible in all the changes that have happened for 10 years. I don't think they're going to try to make a new edition because I think that is stabbing yourself in the foot. There are so many people out there who enjoy the system and want to keep playing the system. And especially when you're putting out Kryn and Spelljammer, if you go to a whole new edition, do they go, okay, now do I have to wait 8-9 more years for another Spelljammer in this edition?
Right. Do you think that when this new thing comes, as you've called it, 5.5 or 5e plus, I'm still sticking with AD&D 5e. But do you think 5 years deep into that, it'll be as recognizable as 5e was 5 years ago from today? Do you think it will have changed enough that I'm asking that right? I'm asking.
I don't know.
Well, so you're leaning toward like, will it
have changed? Will it have changed so much that there's not much left of what the skeleton of the system was a few years after 5e came out?
No, because that's why I don't think they'll change it. Because right now, 5th edition is as pure a Dungeons and Dragons as you can get. Remember, you guys play Pathfinder 3.5. You know how rules heavy you can get.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, they've still not done that. 5e is still the simplest system they've ever had. I mean, go all the way back to 1st edition with THACO. My goodness, what the heck math was that?
It was just math, Michael.
Changes based on your class.
It was just math.
It was okay. But it was ridiculous math. Now it's so much easier. AC is 10, or you add armor.
Right. I think though with Spelljammer, they're going to have to add in rules for.
It was 10, and then you subtract by adding armor. The more armor you have, the less your. What? That makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, are you this race and this class and using this kind of weapon? Well, that changes everything. Now, so
your THACO with a long sword is different than your THACO with a long bow, and your THACO if you're a fighter is different if you're a THACO with a mage.
And then, of course, we have weapon speed and segments. So.
I mean, I think the rules might not change a lot, but I think they will get more. We'll get more rules. Not as far as 3.5 would go, but Matt Mercer gave us some excellent underwater rules. Yeah. With the latest release. Spelljammer is going to give us 0G fighting. You know it is. Yeah. And all those things to factor in. And if there's any kind of laser guns, are they going to do energy as a damage type now? And energy versus kinetic, and is that going to be a big rule thing?
It's possible, but I don't see that. But again, I don't see that changing what I know as 5e.
Of course,
5e is when I started in 2017. 5e is still the same 5e, and even if they add a 5th, and I think the only reason they're going to do a new edition is because for 10 years there's been new players coming in, and they're going to go, look, we want to make sure any new players that come in have a new player's handbook, a new monsters manual, a new, that basically combines all of these things together. I think that's what they're going to go for. It'll have a new look. I don't think they'll go away from 5th edition because there are far too many people that are enjoying this. And again, if they go to 6e, if they go to 6th edition, and then we have to wait 8-9 years for a Spelljammer in 6th edition, or Dragonlance in 6th edition, I think you're just going to get people upset. Oh, 6e. Here's Forgotten Realms again. Here's Sword Coast Adventures.
Maybe less changes and more additions then.
Yeah,
more additions, not editions.
Yes, and I think there will be. I think the beauty of what we've done with Spelljammer and a little bit with Ravenloft and some of the Planescape type of stuff we've been doing is that now you have these settings, and now my characters can go to Kryn, they can go to Eberron, they can go to Ravnica. If my character was born in the Forgotten Realms up until 2-3 years ago, up until last year, I died in Forgotten Realms. And since it's so hard to die in Dungeons and Dragons, it took a long time.
Is it though, Michael?
Hey, too soon.
Hi, Ash.
Given player history.
But now we can go anywhere. And so I think more where we're going to see 5e going is new settings, new places to go. And in those settings, yes, you'll get new rules. Like, for example, the new rules on underwater adventures that we get in the newest Matt Mercer book. There's going to be new rules, new things that are coming up. But that's no reason to change the basis. For 5th edition right now, I think actually is perfect the way it is. For what we're playing, and the fact that it can be in any setting, it can be played at any time. And if you look at some of the podcasts that we love so much, Red Dirt D&D, Microphones and Monsters, Roll Britannia, they all have their own different settings, and they're all still using the same system.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
5th edition.
Yeah,
and I like that idea of like you said, kind of reorganizing and compressing isn't quite the right word, but it's like, okay, so here's the core, and then in the chat, Jack and Stacy are mentioning that with the acquisition of D&D Beyond, electronic changes become really easy to do, and you can say, oh, do you want your D&D to be advanced D&D 5e? Then here's the pages for that. It's a great. I mean, if they do this right, I'm with you, Michael. If they do this right, it's a home run.
I think that we are entering into a new realm of Dungeons and Dragons, and the people who are in charge of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not talking about people in charge of Hasbro. I'm talking about the people who are in charge of Dungeons and Dragons.
right.
And I'm not even talking about Wizards of the Coast here, guys. I'm not even talking about the people who are in charge of Magic the Gathering. Okay, I'm not talking about Magic the Gathering. So if you're upset about how Wizards of the Coast handle Magic the Gathering, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way Dungeons and Dragons, the subset of Wizards of the Coast that have handled Dungeons and Dragons, they've done it right. And they've done it right for 8 years. Okay? Their purchase of D&D Beyond, which was announced last Wednesday, which was sadly right after A&M Talk D&D and right after Plausible Deniability. I'm like, dude, seriously, don't drop that kind of stuff unless we're ready to go on air.
They didn't even ask our schedule. I was really offended.
Completely ignored. They did. And when I tried calling them, Chris just wouldn't answer my phone. So,
come on, Perkins. Come on, pick up.
Systematic promoter, right? Maybe it didn't go, hey, Chris, don't freak out.
Oh, my God.
Plausible Deniability is not until next week. Hold off on that announcement.
Right.
$146 million, and truthfully, I know that Wizards and Hasbro I know that the people who play Magic the Gathering who are not happy with the way Wizards and Hasbro has handled Magic the Gathering. This is not Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, for sure. Totally different teams. Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is not as important to Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro as Dungeons and Dragons is, because you don't have television shows where people are playing Dungeons and Dragons. Are playing Magic the Gathering. Right now, Stranger Things is probably one of the most popular Netflix shows out there. That's actually a fiction show. It's coming out for a 4th season, and what's really made it popular is Dungeons and Dragons, and it's made Dungeons and Dragons popular. You've got Critical Role. You've got podcasts out the wazoo, including one we could also talk about that's coming up as well, that was announced during the announcement today. D&D is huge.
Yeah.
People are playing it. And Hasbro is looking at the numbers.
Yep.
And they realized that purchasing D&D Beyond was a in for them to do even more with Dungeons and Dragons.
It was so smart.
I'm waiting for their virtual tabletop to come out. And so this brings us back to the announcement they made a year ago when they said you're going to start seeing D&D products in formats and media that you've never seen before.
Correct.
So I can see them acquiring, absorbing, or making their own virtual tabletop to incorporate it directly into D&D Beyond. And instead of buying a hard copy, or instead of buying the D&D Beyond type version or a PDF, you buy the whole package version where you can read it, you can make a character with it, and you can also run it on a virtual tabletop. And it's going to be the ultimate digital.
It's got everything you need.
It's coded up so that you can just drop it in and run it. Yep.
Yeah.
And not that they couldn't do this anyway with a 3D mini, but if you have those Kling minis, right, that are just artwork in a form, you can throw those everywhere in a virtual element, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I really think that this is a good thing for fans of D&D. It's a good thing for new people who've never played before because they're seeing our excitement. And they're going, well, why are you all excited about D&D? I went to a dinner before we came here tonight. My wife and I went to dinner at Black Bear Diner, and I'm wearing my Dungeons & Dragons shirt. And the guy's like, oh, you play Dungeons & Dragons? I said, yeah. I said, well, yeah. And we started talking about it. And he'd never really played before, but he's like, yeah, I should really get together and start playing sometime. I'm like, well, if you're not interested in playing, I have a podcast.
Here's my card.
Actually, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was my wife goes, well, he has a podcast.
That's great.
We got our waiter to he's going to listen to Red Nerd D&D. So
that's
if
great.
anybody's out there listening to this and you don't know, we have a podcast called Red Nerd D&D. Yeah, you can check it out. It's really good.
And a side note of that, since we're like tooting the horn and stuff, a shout out to KOSU, because I had a colleague today who I know doesn't listen, came up and said, "Hey, that podcast thing that you're in that, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's going well," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's going really well." And he said, "I heard an advertisement on KOSU today for it." And,
nice.
And he was like, "So it's really a thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's really a thing. Like, you should listen." And shout out to KOSU for giving us a plug.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can also find us on on the NPR podcast directory. We are the only actual play podcast for NPR.
Red Nerd D&D, the only way to get your D&D on NPR.
I mean, my good friend Robert De Niro told me to never name drop because it's tacky, but I will say that Critical Role doesn't have commercials playing on NPR, so take that, Mercer.
Yeah, but because of the excitement of D&D Beyond, or D&D, and with the addition of D&D Beyond, they are going to do a VTT.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
I think that's one of them. And if I could not worry about buying the book, that I could actually maybe just buy the book to play in a game on a virtual tabletop through D&D Beyond or whatever it is they spin off of that. Yeah.
Sorry, look at the chat here. I'm loving Ash's spirit with the 80s guitar riffs, because earlier Ash said I was talking about the image of Minsk riding a dragon through the stars, and they were like, paint that on the side of the van.
Yes. With Boo behind him playing an electric guitar that shoots flames.
Right, yeah.
Yes, so... Yeah, I'm really excited about the new things. There is, of course, a new, I guess, D&D actual play called Legends of the Multiverse, which is coming out on April 27th.
Yes, right?
Like done by wizards?
Yeah, the D&D YouTube and Twitch channels. Deborah Ann Wall is going to be in it.
Oh, lovely.
Todd Kenrick.
Yeah.
And then there was like
Todd's great.
The list of guest stars was... I mean, there was like 10 people listed in this thing. I'm like, how many players does this thing have? It's only 5 players, but there's going to be guest stars who are going to be in it as well.
Right. You think they're going to be like NPC moments? You think that's what they are? Or you think they're going to rotate out at the table?
I think it's going to be probably NPC moments. Like, did you see the G4 show, D&D show? I don't know if that's still going on.
Was it when there was also the Stream of Annihilation, I think, or something like that, where they had Zach and Cody Sweet Life, whatever was DMing it, and then they would have Matt Mercer set in, and then Joe Manganiello set in, and then Deborah Ann Wall. That's where she started. That she made her Wizards of the Coast official D&D, start. It was around the time of Tomb of Annihilation, and I don't
know if any of those are still playing. I know that the only big ones that have survived is Critical Role, and I mean And every time they come out with these, I applaud them. I want them to succeed. I really do. The problem is they're trying to do Critical Role.
Right.
And it's like, okay, Critical Role. If Critical Role were to start playing Critical Role right now, it wouldn't work. The reason why Critical Role works is because it started from just a bunch of people playing in their living room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it grew from there. It was grassroots. You can't go, hey, where Critical Role's at right now, I want to do that. I want to make that.
All right.
And be as famous and as popular as Critical Role is right now. Well, you can't. Critical Role took 7 years to get to that point.
And they had a built-in audience with Geek and Sundry also.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it's still but they didn't even start with Geek and Sundry. They started in their living room.
Oh yeah, it was Liam O'Brien's birthday, and they got bored, did a one-shot,
and then they played another one.
Yeah.
And then they played another one, and then they went, hey, maybe we should put this out in kind of a podcast form. So Geek and Sundry came along. Okay, great. So look, Geek and Sundry's here, and then they said, oh well, let's do some of the Twitch stuff. Let's make a deal with D&D. They grew from the ground up. You can't go, hey, we're Critical Role's right now in their 3rd season and buy the most popular actual play Dungeons & Dragons. We can do that.
Yeah.
We'll just do that same thing. We'll just have the same formula. You can't. The reason they are so popular is because they started in the living room and moved up.
And we all owe them a great thanks.
Yes.
Podcasters, actual players, people getting into D&D for the first time, just playing in their kitchen table.
You bet.
Yeah, they've done a lot for the scene, for the community, for the genre, for RPGs in general. Because they'll do things outside of D&D. They'll make up their own game systems just to be able to play a one shot of The Witcher or Elder Scrolls when a new expansion comes out. Yeah.
And and yes, D&D Beyond. If it's D&D Beyond is part of the reason why D&D is so popular.
Yeah.
D&D Critical Role is the reason why D&D is so popular. Thank goodness for Critical Role. More power to you. But all these companies, all these entertainment groups that are trying to be the next Critical Role. Again, there already is a Critical Role, so stop trying to be the next Critical Role.
Right.
And second off, you're not going to be able to do it because you just. You can't. You
gotta find your own niche, right? I mean, like there's the glass cannon for the Pathfinder folks, which is just like you said. It's kind of just guys in their living room around the table. I mean, they got incredible sound quality, and then tooting our own horn. We have a Weird West vibe that is old radio show, and it's not. We may never be video big, right? And that's perfectly okay because we're doing this thing, and then Critical Role has, their slow motion promo intros and all that stuff. And, budgets allow you to do those things so everybody can grow. But
and makeup artists and all that kind of stuff. And then you got Critical, you got Microphones and Monsters that's doing it in the Cthulhu type of setting. You've got Fool's Quest, which is just absolutely hilarious and puns running rampant. You've got Roll Britannia that's going pirates on the open seas. Mm-hmm. What makes them good is that they are new and original and different, and so that's why they work. For those out there, if you want to make a podcast, don't repeat the thing that's already out there because the thing that's already out there is already out there.
Yeah.
You got to make something new and different and original.
Yeah. Well, it's like Brooke brought up with, and you with, all these, and then, and Glass Cannon, and look at all the microbreweries that blew up 15 years ago. No one said, "Oh, well, Budweiser's pretty big. We probably shouldn't," or "Let's go be the next Budweiser." They just said, "I enjoy beer so much, I want to make my own, and then if I can sell it and buy a car with it, cool, let's do that or something, and keep it going and make it, make changes all the time." I think one of the secrets of Glass Cannon is they're small, but they're big. But they all do it themselves. They don't need... So there was that leak on Twitch about how much money the Critical Role makes. But they also have, 49 people on staff. Whereas Glass Cannon, up until about 6 months ago, had 6 people on staff.
Yeah.
And that was it, They had the people at the table and then one person in the background. And that was basically it. So that was a 6-way split,
Yeah. And they've also been doing it for a while, which helps as well because
they've been going at it 7-8 years. Yeah,
you cannot expect to grow an audience overnight.
So the fun,
it's going to take 3 to 5 years to be that overnight success. Right?
Yeah,
there it is.
My big inspiration comes more from Glass Cannon because they honestly were just 5 dudes that said, "Hey, let's play this and put it on the internet and see what happens." And then Paizo approached them. Then big companies, other channels, other networks started approaching them, and then they got so big that they were like, "Cool, we'll buy you. Cool, we'll absorb you. Cool, we'll partner with you." As opposed to Critical Role was tapped on the shoulder by a friends that had access to a giant network and said, "Come sit in front of our audience and do this." That's where I was.
All of those things. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, yeah, that was just it was more of a home based startup kind of thing. Yeah,
it's really fun,
Mm-hmm.
and all those things, plugged in, and then they have lifted the community, right? And about that time, Game of Thrones is big, and then Stranger Things opens with the D&D session, and then and yeah, like a rising tide lifts all boats. And so if you like that nerdy thing, man, I want to hear you talk about that nerdy thing. And and hopefully you'll listen when I talk about my nerdy thing. And in the meantime, let's all roll some dice together.
Right.
Speaking
of Stranger Things,
dice builds character.
Did you guys hear what the monster for the next season of Stranger Things is going to be?
Vecna.
So, in the first season it was a Demogorgon, and the second season it was a Mind Flayer. They called it a Mind Flayer, even though it was gigantic. No, but the third season is Vecna.
It wasn't a Demogorgon either. I mean,
it wasn't. But
it's just these '80s kids who their only experience with this stuff is through Dungeons and Dragons, so they're using
they nickname
Dragons terms. For these. Yeah.
However, the monster in the second season was a tentacle monster that could get into your brain, so it kind of was like a Mind Flayer. So now I'm wondering, this Vecna. Is it going to be an undead lich that can kill you?
It's got to be a resurrection of something, right?
It's just power word killing your dead.
There's an image in the teaser trailer of Vecna.
Wow, with a hand and an eye.
It's horrifying. It is absolutely.
I have to watch it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Is it worse than a lich?
It's yes.
Well, Vecna is a lich. Yeah.
Vecna is a lich, and he does have his hand in his eye, so I don't know.
Maybe they say kill him is you have to take it. And then Joe Mangaliano comes in with Archon the Brave and steals it, and we know where that goes. Yeah.
Very quickly, there were also mentions today of a new starter set with a new game called Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, which that's really cool, especially for brand new players. If you've never played before, this will be I love box sets. Box sets are awesome. Ever since I was a child, box sets are cool, especially when you get the dice drawn on with crayons. They mentioned some new stuff with Baldur's Gate and with there was a Forgotten Realms one as well. New video games, Baldur's Gate 3, and the listing I have here does not have it, but there was a Forgotten Realms type of video game as well. But what I want to end on here is probably the most disappointing part of this entire 30 minutes. What? I got a trailer for Dragonlance. I got a trailer for Legends of the Multiverse, or whatever that's going to be. And all I got is a title for the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I'm excited about this.
Well,
but you couldn't give me a teaser.
That was seriously. It was them throwing a bone. It was they had a meeting and they're like, we've got to do something. We don't have enough footage. We don't have enough production put into anything to put a trailer together. What are we going to do? And they drew a name out of a hat and said, we're going to call it this. Go tell everyone.
With the graphics they put together for that D&D, the ampersand going around, and the honor among, it's called Honor Among Thieves is the title. For all of that, they couldn't have just maybe shown me Chris Pine in chainmail. I would have been happy. Just show me his outfit. Show me Hugh Grant as the villain. Show me something. The name, I'm like, okay, great name. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited. But give me something. And you're telling me they don't have a picture of these characters that they could have even thrown up on a poster. A poster!
The name scares me, Michael. The name.
I got to admit, the fact that they aren't, releasing much stuff, this scares me too. We've seen we've seen Chris Pine's comments about it, right? You guys remember reading about those?
Yes, where the Game of Thrones with the Princess Bride with.
Did he mention Monty Python?
Oh my gosh!
No. He said no. He said Princess Bride and Game of Thrones. Another fantasy, not Lord of the Rings, but something similar to that. And so it sounded all great. That's fantastic. I think that is, sounds wonderful. That is what we need, is a little bit of humor, a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of epicness. fantastic. But you can't show me a picture of that. You can't tell me.
I recently watched the new Thor trailer.
It makes me really nervous.
I recently watched the new Thor trailer, and everyone in that looked CGI. They were like so touched up and youthed up, and I'm like, yeah, they could have done that. So the movie we had with Jeremy Irons revolved around it revolved around a thief. Because remember we had to go through the trap room and everything, so I'm a little worried about the title of this movie.
I think Honor Among Thieves works because
it works. I like it.
For D&D, for fantasy-based shenanigans, you can't have anything better than a whole bunch of rogues, as it were.
Yeah.
Who are trying to. I mean, you could make it a heist. Casino or Ocean's 11 type of thing in Waterdeep. I'm in. That sounds awesome. Need to be. You're trying to break into Xanathar's vault. Fabulous.
This just reeks. This reeks of the whole Canto Bite thing in the Star Wars sequels. Stop talking.
I'm talking about the ideas. You put it in Waterdeep. You have some kind of a heist.
Robbing Xanathar would be interesting.
Right, you don't have to worry about some big, massive dragon battle. Mm-hmm. It's just you can set it in a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
And put Xanathar in it. Put it in Waterdeep. Make characters that are understandable as the classes that they're playing. You've got a setting. You've got monsters that are D&D monsters, like a beholder, and characters that are set. If you've got those three things, that is a successful Dungeons and Dragons movie, and I think that's where they're going with it. But I would have loved to have seen, put Chris Pine in some leather armor, or Hugh Grant as the evil wizard, or whatever.
Really?
I mean, show me something. No, I'm not talking about Chris Pine in leather.
Oh, you said it.
All I wanted to see was Chris Pine in leather. That's all I wanted.
I want to see Chris Pine in leather. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy. No, I like the title. I think it's going to be fun. I think Xanathar would be really interesting. We of course we're going to have all new speculation when they drop a teaser and then a trailer and then there's interviews and then someone spoils something. I mean, it's going to be great. It's going to be.
Yeah, but teasers come out 1 year before. It's not unusual for a teaser to come out 1 year before.
What was the date?
It's 11 months away. It's March. Wow. March of 2023, and I think it's supposed to be like early March 2023. Like
just
March
in time
3rd.
For birthdays.
Yeah, so again, we're talking about 11 months away, and they still haven't come out with any kind of. And this would have been the perfect time. I was expecting it. I'm like, okay, they're gonna. Oh my gosh, they're gonna have it, and nothing. And I'm like, because they had the directors sitting there talking, and I thought, okay, great, we're gonna have a teaser. Just give me something, even if it's just a long shot of Waterdeep.
All right. With a shadow of a dragon flying by or something. Yeah.
Just anything. I don't have to have. Something besides the name is great. I'm not knocking the name, but something besides that would have been nice, especially when you've got this venue that everyone's watching. We're all excited about it, but
it was just throwing us a bone. That's what it was. It was trying to keep it fresh, trying to create buzz, and they did. There'd be articles everywhere. My Google alerts went off like crazy today. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, me too. My Google alerts for Dungeons and Dragons have been nonstop today.
3/3/2023. Thanks, Ash.
So
and maybe they're gonna do it like in the way that they've done the Spelljammer thing, where we're like, Spelljammer, where's the Spelljammer? And so now it's like, where's the movie? Where's the movie? Where's the movie?
Right.
Maybe that's part of their marketing ploy.
Maybe.
And they didn't mention anything about there's apparently supposed to be a series in works. So and I think Hasbro's finally got it in their head that they own Dungeons and Dragons, and so they will start producing more and more things that.
MC, I'm going to say something. I love it when you say that. I love it when you say Hasbro has finally figured out that they own Dungeons and Dragons and they're going to do something with it. However, you've been saying it for almost exactly 1 year.
I know.
So they really figured it out?
Well, since last summer, yes. So,
okay.
Very much like things we might all experience in our jobs, in which they're like, man, do we have anybody to work on that? There's got to be and there's 3 guys in the background or 9 guys in the background going, what?
Right.
The answer.
But that was the problem. Is last summer they mentioned it, and they go, okay, so now we're going to start working on stuff. I'm like, well, if you're only starting to work on stuff now, then it's 2 or 3 years before we get it because of the way post-production works. So this is something you should have been working on 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
We'd start to give jobs and stuff now. So yeah, again, I think they just figured it out last summer, which thank goodness they did, because hopefully in a couple of years, my fear as a nerd, I've seen things come and go. I've seen the things that I love be popular and then not popular, and then popular again and then not popular. So my only concern is much like how the Valley Girl movie never came out till the Valley Girl craze had already ended.
Right.
That kind of thing, I worry that the popularity of D&D is going to wane, and so when these things come out, people aren't going to be interested.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that'll happen, but it's conceivable. And so,
if they play their cards right, they can just keep touching base with new audience and new audience and new audience, with having the D&D acquisition, the idea of not in maybe complexity, but the GURPSness of 5e, that you can do anything with it. As Stacy said in the chat, I mean, they can maybe make it work.
Yeah. And,
oh my gosh, how is it? Go ahead.
Well, and as Shouted Heart had mentioned, this is a common refrain over at A&M, so we talk about it a lot. Check it out.
Check it out on Tuesday. Listen to them, and they're gonna go crazy on this. It'll be fun.
What were you saying?
I was just gonna say that I glanced at the clock. It's 7:58.
Yeah.
I know. That's what I was about to say too. We are running really fast on time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure talking with you this evening.
That has been rocking. It has been great to see Ash and Ben and Stacy.
Kinder showed up. Kinder El Thulu.
Germs.
Stacey Jones, Oceans D12.
Yeah.
Xanathar's 11. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you put that in there. There you go. Yes.
But Oceans D12, that's the one. Oh, it's so good. Hey, one quick confession, and that is 2 weeks ago on Plausible Deniability, we kind of promised you guys a tease. We promised you a little thing that was going to pop in on Red Dirt D&D. We had technical difficulties.
Yeah, we
messed that all up. So Michael Cross had to come and save us. So we have not forgotten the promise. And
Brooke and I owe you a mid-show break, and it'll happen.
And we have the list of names of everyone that we said we'd say hello to.
We record on Sunday. Maybe I'll just grab you two on Sunday and just put microphones in front of your faces and go, do it now.
Okay.
Do it now.
Yes, sir.
Do it now, where I can supervise and make sure you guys don't screw.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Brooke, we don't get lunch. We don't get lunch until we do that.
That's right. Recording on Sunday, and I got a new mixer. By the way, check out YouTube. I did a thing on YouTube. My first time.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah, my first time to use OBS. I made a video. Go check it out. It's right here on YouTube.
You did an absolute great job. Absolutely great job.
It shows kind of how I do the whole editing thing.
The doobly-doo
We've
stuff.
got a lot of people ask questions, so go watch that. It's really cool. I'm really excited about it. It's right here on the Red Dirt D&D channel.
Yep. Jack Frost from Nebraska. Thanks. Glad you found us.
Hey, Jack Frost.
Absorb everything we do. It's good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Brooke Bullock here with us.
Woo! And the Michael Cross.
Woohoo! And the Johnny Payne.
Johnny Payne. We will see all of y'all in 2 weeks. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you then.